And we are live, and welcome to a very prolonged new episode of Let's Talk Vinyl. My name is Anthony Krysiewicz, coming all the way from the Midwest, Central America, otherwise known as the soccer capital of the world. My host with me this evening, winemaker extravaganza, wonderful husband celebrating his anniversary of engagement to his lovely wife Holly today. And so much more. He is a man of so much talent. He is all over the planet. That is Mr. Trey Busch.
What up?
Oh, wow. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. It's been too long. That's what I'm saying.
You know, I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
These last few months have been extremely trying on me. And next month we'll be celebrating 3 years of doing this show. I haven't done a podcast episode now for myself. The business, we've done a couple episodes with other organizations that we handle with. But I just needed a mental break.
Yeah, that's okay to take those.
Yeah, you know, there is a lot of things that go on behind the scenes at the Touring Fan Live, and there's a lot of people that are involved in it, and it just got to a point where, you know, I questioned a lot, and we had to deal with some due diligence on the back end with our YouTube channel and complaints against it that were ill-informed, and then we had to deal with our Apple account that had a complaint against it from the same people that were ill-informed, and then we had to... And it just got to the point where it's like, you know, is it worth fighting for? And, you know, then other personal shit happened, and I just was like, you know what? I just need to take a break from everything. But, you know, I'm much better now. I've been looking forward to doing this episode with you for a while, and I'm excited about the topic this evening. And no, I'm excited to be here. You know, this idea, what Touring Fan Live is, and what we do in this show. I mean, not a lot of podcasts make it past 6 months. Statistically speaking, I mean, most shows after 6 months fail, and they fail pretty hard. And, you know, this show next month will be 3 years we've been doing this. And, you know, you gracefully have come along on this, and I'm excited to see what our numbers are on a 3-year anniversary. We had this huge high, and then we kind of flitted off a little bit. Now, you know, I noticed since we weren't doing episodes over the last 2 months, a lot of people were going back and listening to older episodes, and it was interesting what people were going back and listening to, because some of them for almost 2 years ago, and I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. People are digging back into the catalog. But no, man, I really appreciate you and your patience with me as we took this little bit of a break.
Vice versa. You know, I'm hard to pin down too, and we both got busy schedules, and we've got families, and we've got jobs and lives and travel and summer and all that stuff. So we had a bit of like life-changing news on Saturday. June was diagnosed with type 1 juvenile diabetes.
Oh, man.
On Saturday. And so we've been like, that's been our last, 4 days, and even right now. So it's sort of a new adventure in life for us. And but those are I made a social media post this morning about life throws you curveballs. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as smooth sailing. It's true. It's just how you approach things that are thrown at you, all the challenges that are thrown at you. So, and you need to take that time for yourself and for your family. And with me, you can take that time whenever you want. You need to take a 6-month break, we'll do that. So, but I don't want to take a break.
No.
I don't want to quit you, Anthony.
I will. You know what, Trey? There might have been lies in the Titanic, but I will promise you I will never let go.
Well, we've got a fun show tonight. I'm glad you picked this topic. And it's going to be very controversial. We're probably going to get some of our first hate mail.
Well, no, we've gotten hate mail before. I just don't bring it up. I sometimes just ignore it. Oh yeah, I've had at least 4 emails about this show. Most of the time it's like the opinions we have about a song, and then it'll be someone who sends us like their background on why we were wrong on like the theory of the song or the background, or they disagree with
We're
the
we're
statistics we
not,
get?
but the thing is, we're not stating facts
No.
when we're stating our opinions. We're just stating our opinions. Now we may feel very strongly about them, and if that person were standing in front of me trying to argue, I would for sure argue back. But or at least try to convince them. But the fact is that someone likes to eat sand. They can eat sand, man. You know what
That's
I mean?
right.
I'm not gonna tell them that's wrong or right. I don't like to eat sand. They do.
No.
So
Well, let's talk about the topic tonight. On the last episode, which was 2 months ago, we had discussed something we've never done before. Typically on this show, we go and we pick a pair of Pearl Jam songs or a singular version of a Pearl Jam song, and we discuss it, our opinions about it, if we've seen it live, kind of break some statistics down on it and stuff. And I said, why don't we try something new? I said, and we jokingly, I think we were I was pretty much gone. I had drank my whole bottle of wine, so I was gone. And I don't think I ate much that day too. And I potentially had a gummy as well. So between being like potentially stoned, drunk, and lost
tired
in
and
the
tired
show.
and tired. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and fucking tired. Yeah, I was like, you know what? Why don't we do a show where we go through every studio album and we have to pick a song off of it that's our least favorite from that album. But the only thing was you couldn't pick like Foxy Mop or Red Dot. It had to be an actual
What?
song from the album. Yes, we talked about this.
Did we talk about this?
Yes, you can't pick just a generic, and it's actually in the description.
That's
Of
okay. I didn't do it either. That's
All
fine.
right, good. So that's what we're doing tonight. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the wine. And this is something I will tell you, it was interesting today. So I went and got my bottle of wine today, and my daughter, who's 7, Charlotte, was in the car, and she's like, "What is taking so long? They're all the same." And in the middle of this winery, I said, "Charlotte, they're not. There's different textures, different tastes. There's different ways that's wined. It's different vintages. There's different." And I'm going through this thing, and this poor little 7-year-old, who I'm trying to explain what wine is, she's like, "Dad, I have no idea what you're talking about. Just hurry the hell up." So, but I
Yeah.
did pick I did pick I think a good bottle of wine this evening, and I'm excited to hear what you have and educate me on what you're drinking this evening.
Well, you sent me a picture tonight of a bottle of Cabernet, and I believe it is labeled North Coast. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So
It's
what that means. It's not even an appellation, or maybe it is an appellation, but it's North Coast could mean a lot of different things. It encompasses Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino, a massive growing area. And so what that really means is they probably were blending grapes from all of those different areas to create that wine. Now, can I ask you, it looked like it was called Pictures, or what was it called? Like a
so
photograph?
the winery is called Photograph.
Yeah.
And it's got an interesting story behind it, and it really sold me. And there's a couple of reasons. One of them, you're going to be like, Anthony, we've talked about this, but for the
I've
most part,
talked about it. Yeah.
yeah. So, I'm
Like the label.
I love the label, and I'm
It's a
very
great
excited.
label. I don't doubt it. It's a great. The packaging on that wine is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is like a sort of a vintagey photograph, almost like it would be maybe a Polaroid or something. Can I ask you how much you paid for that?
I paid, so it was on clearance, or it was on sale. No, I'm sorry, it was on clearance. I don't want to be wrong with it. It was on sale this week. It was the wine of the week at
Okay.
the store we were at, and it was
Yeah.
normally 21, and I paid 11 for it. And this was the last bottle of this one. And
Okay.
what originally caught my eye on it is, so I think we've discussed this. Me and Heather put a deposit down on the new Volkswagen bus that's coming out next year.
The electric
So
one.
yeah, the electric one, yeah. So
Yeah.
we've been very like I've always wanted a Volkswagen bus. I just could never afford the one I'd want, like anyway. So
You want
that
like
caught my eye.
you want the 27 window.
Oh god, yeah. I want the wraparound window. I want the pop up camper. I want like it like converted to like diesel. Like I want like the one. Yeah, I have this in my head, but
Get
it's
the
just never
electric
gonna
one.
happen.
The electric one. That's awesome.
The electric one, yeah, I'm really excited about it. It all happened very quickly, and we put a deposit down on it. Now we have to get it all financed like 3 months before we pick it up. Anyway, so that's why I got this. So then when I looked at it, I was like, first I was kind of turned off because it's only a 2020 vintage. And I'm like, it's still kind of young. And the other one I had in my hand was a
Well,
2014 vintage.
beyond that, the 2020 vintage in California was the fire year.
Yes, I remember that. And so
Big
I was,
one. So
I was,
I am very interested to see you stick your nose in there and tell me if it smells like no, not you have in a glass,
I know
Anthony.
it's been 2 months. I forgot.
Like, do you smell? Is there any like campfire notes in that wine?
No, not at
Okay,
all.
they filtered
It's very muted. It's very muted in comparison to some of the other Cabernets I've drinking in the past.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, does it say on the back label like produced and bottled by, and it has a different name than photograph or what?
Yeah, it's so the back says it's a let's see, a snapshot, a moment in time, a memory we can long to capture forever. Photograph are proof that once, even if just for a heartbeat, everything was perfect. Just like photographs, these wines were developed by our winemaker to capture the distinct moment and place where each of these specifically created wines were sourced. That's all it says. But I have the website up here.
That's
Let's
creative.
see.
That was written by a PR person for sure.
Oh, 100%. It sounded beautiful. It was very elegant. I didn't feel like I gave it the due justice, but it's on its website, which is photographwines.com. Aromics of wine unfold with tea leaf, black fruit, and leather. Spices also wrapped around the nose, while on the palate suggest of blackberry and rhubarb evolve, becoming a spice rack of cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. As the wine opens, this is a lot. Let me just go down to our sourcing notes. Here we go. Sourced from vineyards in North Coast region of Northern California, Napa, Sonoma, and Lake County provided diversity of character for this Cabernet blend. And on this website, where you go to find wine, I mean, it's 2,411 people, voted on it, and it's got 4.8 out of 5. So that sounds like it could be good, I assume.
Well, I'm not going to judge it because it's in front of you. You know what I mean? So it smells good, tastes good to you. Remember, that's the whole, at the end of the day, I've always said this. Don't let other people tell you what's good, whether it's music or wine or whatever it is. If it tastes good to you, if it smells good to you, if it sounds good to you, whatever it is, don't let people talk you out of it, vice versa.
First of all, the last wine we had, or the second to last one we had, was that wine that told you it was like healthy, sugar, all that shit. This one doesn't go beat around the bush. It tells you that there's shit in it. Like I said, the smell is muted, which maybe it's because you were saying it could have been filtered so many different times because of the fires in California at the time. 100%. So the smell to me doesn't hit me like it says it's supposed to on the website. But I will tell you, the taste of this is really.
Really what? Go thumbs up, thumbs down. You like it, you don't like it?
Oh, no, this is good. I would buy this bottle of wine again. I would say this is a great bottle of wine. I'd have this with like lasagna, maybe a big ziti, maybe some chicken cutlets. Very Italian. I would do that with this. This is the wine is heavy. There's very heaviness to it. I don't know if I'll be able to down this whole bottle of wine this evening, but I say that every show, and the next thing you know, I'm on my head by the end. So who knows?
Well, for $11. To be sourcing fruit from those areas, it's definitely a deal. My guess is that winery is not a physical winery. My guess is they're buying bulk wine from producers that are getting rid of their existing inventory that doesn't fit their program. And especially in 2020, there's a lot of bulk wine out there. And they put that blend together. And but there's nothing wrong with that. If it tastes good, it tastes good. So
yeah, because
my wine's a little older than yours.
Well, you always do. Listen. I'm not nearly as spoiled as you with the great wines that you have and the connections you have in the wine world.
I went to connections. I made this. This is one of my early wines.
What do you got?
This is from a winery I used to make wine for called Basil Cellars. They're not around anymore. Of course they're not because I left. Let's see. There we go. There's better. 2004. This
Oh,
is our 2004
Jesus.
Columbia Valley Cabernet. So 19 years old. It's in the perfect drinking window right now. Tannins are completely resolved. It's still really aromatic. Still has a lot of fruit. Just a super easy drinking complex cab. A little bit of secondary characteristics. Some of those leather notes that you get come with age. And so, yeah, Brad, you're not wrong about that.
This is I do feel pretty bad that I have this tiny wine glass. Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to buy me a bigger wine glass, more than welcome to. You can send that to the Touring Fan Live in Lee Summit, Missouri.
What's
Yeah,
your OnlyFans page, Anthony?
what was that?
Or is it, what's your OnlyFans handle?
So I can't give that out legally, just in
Okay,
case for
okay.
tax purpose reasons.
I understand that. You're right.
You know how it is. You definitely, Trey. I've been to your page. Those are some good photos of you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You didn't know I was a good dancer, did you?
Oh man, the dancing you do. You know what? I do have a funny OnlyFans story to tell you real quick. There's a mom I know in the community, never works, never does anything, very attractive woman, and she after a couple of drinks, admitted that she's an OnlyFans model, and she makes more money in 6 months than I make in an entire year. And
Yep.
I was like, you know what? And people, you can judge if you want to. You're a schmuck if you do. Good for her. That's what I say. I say, good for you. Make that money. Get that cash.
Take it. Go get it when you can.
That's right. Now, unfortunately, on my OnlyFans page, I have one person who's been paying my 99 cents a month fee, and it's my mom. And she doesn't watch my content; she just supports it. So maybe one day I'll
Nice.
get more.
That's a nice herb. Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
Well, this Cabernet is delicious, and admittedly so. From a interesting vintage, '04 was a freeze year, and this was my third vintage at this winery. I started the winery in '02, and then we had '03 and this '04. In 2004, um, January of '04, had a really hard freeze in the valley in Walla Walla, 20 below zero.
really.
And it basically killed off our estate vineyards.
Ooh.
So instead of making our normal estate Cabernet that we came from our vineyard right there in front of the winery, we had to go source fruit. And Chateau Ste. Michelle, the largest winery in the state of Washington,
Mm-hmm.
came to Walla Walla and went to all the wineries. And back in 2004, that would have been 30, maybe 35 wineries at the time. And basically said, you can have whatever fruit that you guys need for your programs from our estate vineyards.
Wow.
Because if you would add up those 30, 35 wineries production together, it's not even a drop in the bucket to the amount of wine that Chateau Ste. Michelle makes. And they recognize the fact that it's beneficial to make sure that these small wineries that are growing an industry here in the Walla Walla Valley stay around. It was beneficial for Ste. Michelle that the small wineries were still there as well. And so this Cabernet was from Cold Creek Vineyard in, it's part of the Columbia Valley. It's not in the Wahluke Slope. It's one of the oldest vineyards in the state of Washington. It was planted in 1972. And so this is like an old vine cab that was, basically the fruit was offered to us from Ste. Michelle. I believe there is, let me take a look at this here. Oh, it's 100% Cabernet. So normally I'm blending a little bit of Cab Franc or a little bit of Merlot or something in there, Petit Verdot. There's 100% Cab back then.
So let me ask you a
and
question because I've always
I
wanted to know
think I
this.
was using more New Oak back then too. Hold on, let me see.
You have mentioned in the past that you've mixed in different blends in a Cabernet. When you
Yeah.
typically put in like a I don't know, another blend in with a Cabernet. What's the percentage like? Is it like 60% Cabernet, 40% something else, or does it just really depend per
To be
bottle?
called any varietal. If you see the word Cabernet Sauvignon on the front label, or you see the word it's Merlot or
Mhm.
Cab Franc or Syrah, whatever it is, it has to be 75% or more that varietal.
Okay, that's good to know. Never knew
So
that.
yeah, so you can't label a wine Cabernet Sauvignon and then have it 51% Cab.
Okay.
So those are federal laws, and so the TTB. Anytime you do every wine you make, um, if the only thing that changes on the label is the vintage uh, and the alcohol, and as long as the percentage is over that 75%, you don't have to apply for label approval. But if any of those things change, for instance, if it falls below that 75% threshold, that means you can't call it Cabernet, which means you have to call it a red blend or whatever you call it. You then have to go get another label approval for that new label.
Oh
So
wow. So
yeah.
so every time you make a new blend of wine, you have to go. It's a much more difficult process than just slapping it on the bottle of wine, throwing some
Only
grapes in.
only if those only if something changes outside of those three things that I mentioned.
Okay.
So in other words, like our Bordeaux blend that we make called the Conjurer. It doesn't say Cabernet. It's not labeled as Cab or Merlot or Cab Franc. It's labeled as red blend. It doesn't matter what I put in it.
Okay.
As long as it's red blend, I could put white grapes in there. It wouldn't matter.
Oh.
Uh, so I don't have to get label proof. I don't have to reapply for that wine every year. It's only if some of the major things on the label change, being, let's say the appellation changed. Let's say that North Coast, let's say the next year they wanted that to be Napa Valley, so they bought all Napa Valley grapes. They can't just put Napa Valley on that label. They have to apply for a
Wow.
new label approval in order to get that on there, because that's a significant change in the eyes of the TTB.
Now, when you're talking about the TTB, is that a process that takes a long time, or is it rather quickly?
2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's federal. That's government.
yeah. That's basically it's the tobacco and their tobacco and firearms, right? It's alcohol falls underneath that same umbrella.
I had no. This is
So
interesting to me. I never knew this. It's interesting that you have to so depending on how you change things, and it's a whole different. Now it's not necessarily what the image looks like. It's just the verbiage that's going to be on the label. Is that correct?
good question. I don't know about I think if you're making a major change like redesigning your label,
Yep.
you uh, probably have to resubmit that as well.
Wow, that's good. Insanity.
So
That's crazy.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to one day designing a bottle of wine with you, but we'll see. We'll see that
Hey,
down
by
the
the
line.
way, thank you so much for taking care of my friend Win and his family while they were in town.
They were fantastic. I felt bad because you know, I'm in the midst of doing a bunch of projects here in Kansas City that I'm basically waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and working through the mornings. And I feel bad because I've been out of touch with a lot of people, and he was coming right in the beginning of this project and was kicking my ass. And so, for people who don't know, Trey had a friend of his from New Jersey coming out to Kansas City who was, exploring the area, and his daughter, who is my son's age, plays soccer pretty competitively on the East Coast, and and Trey spoke really highly of him. He's like, "Listen, you should meet him." So we exchanged numbers. I tailgate before every soccer game. He was going for Sporting Kansas City, the Major League Soccer club here, and we just kind of made it work that he was coming out to watch him. So we tailgated for a few hours beforehand, got to know each other a little bit, got to meet his wife, who's fantastic, his daughter, who is absolutely something special, and she's going to be a rock star one day. And whether she does soccer or photography, she just is an awesome person. And we had a great conversation. He actually accidentally texted me this morning. He texted me, "I'm in Harlem." I said, "Oh, great for soccer." He goes, "Oh no, wrong text." So It wasn't anything special, but that was our last communications. But no, it was a good time. We met at halftime and had a beer together again, and
Cool.
just spoke a little bit. And it was a really good time. He was a great person, great family, and I was glad that we had the opportunity to meet. I know that Brady potentially will be playing on the East Coast at some point this season coming up because he'll be traveling a ton. So hopefully, if that's the case, then maybe we can our paths will cross again. But absolutely a great guy.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, buddy.
Yeah, no, dude, anytime. Anything for you. Anything for you. Now, I will say, I want to get back to this. I am one glass in this Photograph Winery Cabernet, and it's from North Coast. So I went to their website, I looked at everything, and you were 100% correct. Based off reading this, it looks like that each of their bottles of wine, which it looks like they only have 4, they have a Blanc, they have a Chardonnay, they have a Pinot Noir, and they have a Cabernet. And each one of them says, like, the Pinot Noir is from Central Coast of California, the Chardonnay is Central Coast of California, and then the Blanc is the North Coast of California. So they're all from different areas. So I'm assuming that they do that. But the cool thing, what they do is, based off of reading a little bit about this this winery, is that they take a photo from the area that they get the grapes from. So where they're getting the fruits from, they actually try to capture the area and the feel of that to be encapsulated on the bottle. Hence the message on the back that their PR team clearly wrote. But I will say this. I have definitely had my fair share of flops of wine over the last few months, picking out of my own. I will say in the last 6 months of picking bottles of wine, because it's been a while since you've been here, but you bought that great bottle of wine about 6 months ago. This is my favorite bottle of wine that I have personally picked out on my own. It's affordable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely affordable.
You should go back and see if you can get you some more at that same price.
Well, no, this was the last one when I got it at that price. Maybe I'll have to go. It's what was the name of that place that you have? You put in a lot at? Was it Macadoodles or something like that? No. What was the name of the place that you sold a lot of wine to here?
I don't remember. The wine shop.
Yeah, the wine shop.
I don't remember.
I don't know, but it was good. But I'll have to check there. But no, I would say this: if you are a Cabernet fan, and you want a nice, I would say, dinner blend wine, I think this is a really good pass around, good conversation wine. This is it. I like the way it tastes. It is not acidic by any means. It doesn't leave. There's no acidity in my mouth after you drink it. It is a heavier wine, but I think this pairs really well with like a pasta, a steak. This would be that wine, but it's really good. I highly recommend it, which is, I don't really highly recommend a lot on this show when it comes to drinks because I get nervous on it. I would say if you have a winery close to you store and you have an opportunity and you want to spend $20 or less on a bottle of wine, I would say Photograph Winery, this Cabernet. I can't speak on the other ones, but I'm definitely going to try them out. I would highly recommend this one. I would give this 2 thumbs up for sure.
I'd be more impressed with that wine if it was named after the Def Leppard song. I'm not gonna lie. if it made mention of, Rick Savage and the rest of the band, at that point I would be like, hell yes, go buy that wine. Fucking Def Leppard.
You think so? You think that's that? So that is your?
No, it's not. I'm just saying it'd be more awesome if they did. So hey, listen, dude, Anthony, it's 6:30 already, and we're supposed to get through how many albums? 10? 12?
Listen, yeah, but I mean, have we ever kept on
I'm just saying we're gonna be yelling at each other during this episode.
I don't think we're gonna be yelling.
A lot of arguments back and forth.
But there's gonna be no.
We're gonna get hate mail. We're gonna get some hate texts.
There's gonna be no hate mail and no hate text. None whatsoever. We're going to be happy, go lucky people.
Don't forget. Well, when this was done, this was like this.
Oh, 100%.
And then in 1987, it was like this.
That's fucked up, Trey.
That's terrible. Terrible.
Oh,
Anthony,
God.
one of my, as a high school kid back in the mid '80s, and I saw a lot of concerts during that time frame. I was a guitar pick and drumstick magnet.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter where our seats were in the venue, by the second or third song, whoever my friend Brian Lansford and I would be on the front row. We would be on the rail. And the other band, the singing called. Nope. Brad, that's terrible.
Look at his photograph. This band, every song sounds the same.
Know that? How do you know that song?
They come from Canada, and they're gonna sing for you every day.
That was awful.
I know.
Anyway, when Def Leppard went on tour in 1987 with the Hysteria album, we went to go see that. That was right after Rick Allen lost his arm in that car accident. And if you know the story, the guy relearned to play the drums using a foot pedal. So his right arm, left arm, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, he basically replaced, he learned how to drum with his foot in place of his arm. And that's remarkable enough as it is. It's hard enough to learn how to drum. Now you have to treat your brain. Now your brain's got to anyway, it's amazing. But at that show in Atlanta, the Omni, sure enough, and by this time I had a Tommy Lee drumstick, I had a drumstick from Autograph, I had a drumstick from Whitesnake, I had guitar picks from all this stuff. It was like a magnet. So Def Leppard's on, and into the main set right before the encore, but into the main set, you can only throw one drumstick. You're a 50% chance of catching a drumstick at a Def Leppard show. All right.
One
it's not two are coming out. It's one.
One.
Sure enough, man. Boom. Jump up. Caught that thing. So I've got a Hysteria era drumstick. And I love telling that story because it's just funny. I'm like, I had a 50% chance of catching that.
That's it. It's a 1 in 1 chance. That's it. One going out there, and that's all. I mean, think about it. If Pearl Jam played 300 shows, there's 600 drumsticks going out. Def Leppard plays 300 shows, there's only 300 sticks going out.
That's true.
It is true.
Of course, all right. Now there's also 300 Mike McCready picks being thrown out at a show.
So, oh God, yeah. Oh God, there is.
So I mean, I've tried to give my friends Mike McCready picks, and they're like, I already have.
I got it. I got that one. That's right.
So,
all right. You ready?
All right, man. Let's dive in.
Let's get into some shit. All right. So now it comes to our segment where everyone's been waiting for, and everybody is so happy to be here, right? That's why we're here. And we're going to be talking about our least favorite song off of each Pearl Jam studio album. But we're not going to start with 10 because I think the older the albums get, the harder it becomes to pick a song off of it. So we're going to start from the newest album, working away all the way down to 10. Yes. Oh, come on. This makes it interesting. So let's start this up. Do you want to start the process, or am I going to start it?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, I'm going to start it then. Yeah. So with the album Gigaton, which came out during the pandemic, it really never, I don't know if the album ever really took off in the sense that other albums took off because it never really was toured at the right time. It toured out later. I don't think these songs ever resonated with people as much as some of the albums did. So let me go with, do I have a drum roll here or something? Oh, that was really melodramatic. Okay. Anyway, I have chosen the song Comes and Goes as my least favorite song off of Gigaton. And I listened to all the albums and really diagnosed this. And listen, when it comes to Comes and Goes, it's not that it's a bad song. It's just 6 minutes and it's kind of boring. And
by the way, so there's no way we're going to pull stats. And you probably pulled up stats for all of your stuff already. And I don't think we really have time to just dive into stats on this stuff. But and not to mention, they haven't really toured behind Gigaton that long either. How many shows have they played since they released this album? I mean, not that many.
Well, I don't know about all
So
that. I don't have all those stats, but this
yeah,
is my least favorite song off of Gigaton. Comes and goes.
yeah.
Trey, what is your least favorite song off of Gigaton?
I have Never Destination on that,
Wow.
and yeah, I mean, I can't. With a lot of these songs, as I kind of went through these over the past couple of days, some of them I can tell you I just definitively don't like. Um, some of them are just like they're just my least favorite song on the album. Now, as you said, I would tell you that like basically from like Avocado album forward, there were it was harder to pick a least favorite from the standpoint of there's a few in there I don't really care for. As you go deeper into the catalog, back to the older stuff, that was for me. It was very difficult, um, and I'll just flat out tell you right now when it comes to the first 5 albums, uh, I just picked one because I'm like I guess it's my least favorite, but it I don't dislike those songs in any way, shape,
Yep.
or form. Some of these songs I just don't like. So
Brad says, "Can we just skip Buckle Up and move on?" Buckle Up, that was a close one for me. Buckle Up is yeah, Buckle Up is not. Listen, Gigaton isn't. The more you listen to it, I think it's not the most award-winning album. In a sense that like it just didn't hit home, and maybe it's because we didn't get to grow with it in the sense that Pearl Jam had hope we did. It just doesn't resonate. Buckle Up, yeah, Buckle Up is another one. I would agree with you on that one. Buckle Up is, but for me, Comes Then Goes, Never Destination. Buckle Up for Brad. Okay, well,
all right.
all right. Let's move on to Lightning Bolt. I'm gonna let you start this one off because I did the last one on Lightning Bolt. Trey, what is your least favorite song off of Lightning Bolt?
On Lightning Bolt, let me find my list here. There we go. I had Infallible.
Oh, okay. I wonder if we're gonna have the same song at any point because right now we don't. So Infallible. Okay. Now, what about Infallible just turned you off?
This is, when they say things like, it's just, if you don't have anything nice to say,
Don't say it.
don't say it.
Okay.
You're going to play it?
It's playing in the background.
I don't know. Maybe, honestly, Anthony, I think Mark.
First of all, I love Mark and cannot wait to see him in Chicago.
That's pretty funny. I think what it comes down to is that when the songs don't, and you don't want to pigeonhole a band because you want them to grow.
How do you not like this part? How do you not like this part? Ready?
No, I just.
Yeah. I don't think this is the worst song on the album. I think this is actually a well-written song. I actually like Infallible. This wasn't even in like my top 3 least favorite songs on the album.
Let me tell you why. All right,
go for it. I want to hear.
I was gonna say
you.
because they don't sound like what you consider a Pearl Jam song to be, or it fits in with that whatever you think that is, right? That little window. But beyond that, I think it was it Christina Aguilera? She had a song that I swear to God, when he got to that part, it was that Infallible part. It reminded me of something that she sang, and Brad will probably be like, "Oh, I know exactly what he's talking about."
Oh, I guarantee it.
But I could not. The minute I heard the comparison, that song was ruined for me.
Oh, you know what? There is articles all over online about. Oh my god, I had no idea of this. I'm
What
gonna
is it?
play.
What song was it compared to?
I'm going to play it. Because now that I see it, I can't fucking.
I thought I was the only one. Now there's articles about it. Invincible, something like that.
No, it's beautiful.
Or beautiful, whatever. I am beautiful. I am infallible. Anyway.
Yeah, there is massive amounts of articles on the line that I wonder if someone's ever mixed them together, but that'd be interesting. Holy shit. Now, okay, infallible it is. All right.
You know, what's funny, my oldest daughter, Kaylee, she has an Instagram. She has a Spotify playlist of songs that sound like other songs. And so they're just back to back to back to back. It's a long list, right? As she has friends send her stuff. I send her stuff all the time. I haven't sent her those, but I'm going to.
Okay, that is interesting. So first of all, if you're tuning in right now, and we're talking about an album, please post in the comment section what your least favorite song off the album is. I want to hear it. And if you disagree with us, please tell us we're fucking idiots, because I really want to dig in deep, because I know most people will agree with me and not Trey. So let's just keep going forward with this. Oh, look, Mark Kirby, mind blown right now. I am never going to be able to listen to Infallible again without hearing fucking Beautiful from Christina Aguilera. You ruined that goddamn song. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a bee.
Son of a bitch. All right, so my song from Lightning Bolt, real easy. I heard it the first time it was played live. It sounded like shit live. I tried giving it a chance multiple times, but My Father's Son? Ugh. Terrible.
Yeah, I mean...
And you know when
I don't know. I like that breakdown right there. That I can't tell you.
But here, this might be a fun song. You ready? But watch this. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Now it's a whole nother song.
It is. Listen, that's hard to do, though. As a musician, complex.
Do you know what else is really hard to do? Is this a PG show or are we doing an R-rated show? Because I can go something really hard to do if you really want to talk about it. But anyway, we're going to move on. Moving on to the next album, which is Backspacer. Now, this was a little bit hard for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I really like Backspacer. Not a lot of people are big fans of it. I love Backspacer. But I went through, listened to the album, and I waited for a song to just like, do I like this? Do I not like this? And then finally it hit me. You know, the album, there's 2 songs on there potentially it was back and forth of speed of sound and force of nature. I was like, oh, okay, be either one of them. But for me, it was force of nature.
No! I have a windingness to that.
I'm sorry. Then because I listened a few more times, and then like the beginning, it's just kind of lazy to me. Yeah, no, Force of Nature for me. But so for Pearl Jam's Backspacer, I chose Force of Nature. Not for me. It's on my list. What do we got for you?
I went with the opening track. I'm gonna see my friend.
Really? This guitar doesn't do it for you, dude?
Turn it up a little bit.
Oh, this is... I don't know. I actually like this song.
I mean, listen, the Fixer was going to be... That was my other choice.
I would listen to this 10 times in a row before I listen to Force of Nature 10 times in a row. Before I listen to Force of Nature twice in a row.
Well, now you're not going to get any Force of Nature 1. So there you go.
Damn it. I was going to ask you at the end of the show, like, what is it going to take to get a couple bottles of wine sent out here? Because I can't find your shit anywhere. Got some or Fixer? Boo, Tony Bound says.
Okay. Tony Bound. Hey, by the way, happy anniversary, Tony. We met 10 years ago today at the Wrigley. This is the 10-year anniversary of Wrigley, of the Lightning Bolt show.
That is fantastic. Well, you know what? For that, we give it a big old cork bottle open for you. That's a little cork bottle.
Anthony, I love you, buddy.
No, I love you.
Tony?
I love you. I love you more.
No.
I don't. You said Anthony, by the way. I don't know if you're talking to me, but that's fine.
Well, Tony is Anthony.
I know. I'm just trying to. I figured. He says, and he said very kindly, "Love you, bro."
We were. It came up on our Facebook memories today. We were sharing pictures back and forth, and I feel like I can't believe we didn't even think about. I mean, when we scheduled this show, it was like the 5th reschedule, so it makes sense that we didn't really think about the Lightning Bolt show. It would have been fun to like talk about that today, but
I think
yeah,
here's the pages from other podcasts and stuff are flooded the entire internet or on the line with all the stories of it.
All right.
And listen, I was there, you were there, Tony was there. I'm pretty sure. I think Brad might have been there. We were all there. We know the whole horror story. The people that waited all day to be front row, then they had to leave, and then they didn't get. It was miserable.
Horror story. We had the greatest story of all time. We went to go get in line at like 10 a.m. and the line was already like 1,000 people deep, and so we were like, well, that's ridiculous. So. And it was, I have a photo of the temperature, the temp in the car on the way there. It was like 109 degrees in the afternoon. And so the night before, did you go to the pre-party the night before on top of the Wrigley roof?
No.
Okay. So we went there and, the 10 Club event. Tim Bierman introduced me to the guy who owned the loft that had the rooftop deck. He owned that building. And this guy gave me his business card. And so after we were waiting in line for not even an hour, we're just dying. It's like, this is 11 o'clock. They're not going to fucking open the doors until 5 or 6. This is stupid. I called this guy and I said, hey, I met you last night with Tim. That this is, we're out here in front here at Wrigley. We're dying. Can we just come and chill in your little that upstairs area you guys had and just like get some AC and some water? He's like, yeah, come on in. So we went over there, got out of line, because at that point, being in the first 20 rows, we didn't give a shit at all. We're like, we'll survive. So we went to this guy's apartment or whatever, this loft. We stayed there for like 4 hours. This guy was bringing us food, bringing us beers, water, whatever. We were just chilling. He was on the phone the whole time doing business, whatever. And we were just hanging out in the AC. About 4 o'clock, we said, well, we should probably go get in line at this point to see if we can get anywhere on the field. And as we were walking out of his apartment behind Wrigley, which would have been in the outfield area where the back, and the stage is back there, right? They were moving people in sections of like 100 people at a time between the ropes, like to section to section to section, to get people onto the field in an orderly manner. It's a perfectly awesome way to do it. We had already been in line that morning and had our wristbands. And as they were moving the first group of people to the section where they go into the stadium, we were walking out of this guy's loft. And so we basically just sort of, as they're walking this way, we're walking this way, we just sort of made an about face with our wristbands and jumped in line. And so by the time we were like, Whitman and I were like, second row right in front of McCready. So Jesus. I feel bad about that. Anybody else who
don't
was
feel
at that
bad.
show,
People
I'm
fucking
so
cut.
sorry.
Nah, don't feel bad. Hey, listen, shit happens. It all works out. It's all karma. Good things come to people that deserve it. You deserved it. It's all good.
It was good. That was a great show. Anyway, good. Tony Bounds, happy anniversary, buddy. I love you.
Another good guy. So glad I got to meet him in St. Louis.
Yes, such a good guy.
Now,
all right, next album.
Self-titled Pearl Jam. I think, is it my turn to say the first one? I think so.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead with it. So, this album, as it ages, I think it's like wine. I think the longer that it's been out, the more I thoroughly enjoy this album. But there's one song, for some reason, that just never stuck with me. I've seen it live, I believe, once or twice, and every time I've heard it live, like I try to get into it, and it just doesn't do anything for me. Now, I would say, in my personal opinion, I would think that we agree on this song. I don't know. We're going to find out. But with that being said, my least favorite song off the self-titled album is Unemployable.
I disagree completely.
Oh,
it's a great song.
I think the effects on Eddie's voice is not good. I don't know. I think you said something a little while ago that really resonated with me. It's like it's a Pearl Jam song, but it's not a Pearl Jam song to me.
I know. I like that song. I have no problem with Unemployable.
God damn it! All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so we're 4 albums in, and we haven't agreed on one fucking song that we disagree on. So go ahead. What is your song?
If they never play "Come Back Again," I'll be just fine.
Okay, I'm gonna have to rope you in on this. I'm gonna have to have you come back to your senses on this one. What is with Comeback that you don't like?
Go and play it, turn it up, and listen to the very beginning of that. Just
Trey, I wish we were slow dancing right now.
This song is so bad. Nope.
Will the light shine through this broken road? Come on, Trey. Trey, just close your eyes and pretend we're in the same room right now.
Look, here's the thing. This is Eddie doing a
solo song.
Stax 1967 Otis Redding song. And if it wasn't Pearl Jam doing that song, it'd be great. But
ooh, Tony Bound says Big Wave. Mark Kirby.
Big Wave.
Big Wave.
Mark Kirby, my Big Wave. All right, they don't like the.
We got a double Big Wave here. I got me a Big Wave. I got me a Big Wave. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Mark Kirby says it does sort of remind you of a junior high school dance. Kind of. I can see that.
One of these, right? One of these.
Oh yeah, little hands on the shoulder. You start slowly bringing yourself down. Let's see if I can get a grab. I don't know. Big Wave's a fun song, and then I like the chorus. Got me a big wave. Got me a big wave. Got me a big wave.
Anthony, you got a great voice, buddy.
Listen, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about America's Got Talent. I'm thinking I might even hit the low notes on a song. You know, maybe I'll make a song about my life. You know, thinking about that, making some songs, not singing covers, but my own music. I'm working on it. Coming across. We'll see how it goes. You might see me. Katy Perry might ask me to marry her. Who the hell knows? I don't know. All right,
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, dude, she took over this town fucking 2 weeks ago. I've never in my life.
He's gonna be in Seattle this weekend, and it's gonna be a zoo.
Dude, it is. She was here 2 weeks ago, and literally we were 17 miles away. She has pop-up merchandise stores around the city, and one of them happened to be where me, my wife, my mother-in-law, and my kids were. They were selling T-shirts inside the store for $40. I literally was like, oh, well, what's the big deal, whatever. The line was about a mile long. They were flipping those fucking shirts for $450 online.
What?
$450 online. Her shit is she is more powerful than Pearl Jam when it comes to merchandise.
That sounds like a Pearl Jam poster flipper right there.
Dude, I don't even know if she does. If she doesn't know about posters, she should, because she'd make a fucking killing. Anyway, moving on.
All right.
We are now. So you did Come Back. I did Unemployable. Now we are at Riot Act. I am betting money. I'm willing to bet $10 we agree on the same song.
Hold on.
Oh, come on. Now. This should be.
I gotta find my list.
Pick. Hurry up. I have a feeling we all have. I feeling this is a common comeback like Kim Kardashian. Jesus Christ, Brad. Riot Act is a fantastic album, completely overlooked by many casual Pearl Jam fans. Riot 100%. Act is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there is one song that sticks out to me that just doesn't hold a candle to the wind anymore, is not nearly as powerful. The song will never be played again.
Busch
Trey,
Leaguer.
pick the song.
Busch Leaguer.
That's right. We agree on. I knew we were gonna fucking agree on it.
Hey, how about
Finally, it only took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums to finally agree with that. Yeah,
that? You know why? Do you know why?
Go ahead.
Because there were more than several songs that we don't like on each album of the newer stuff. I think it's gonna be. I think we might, as we get into it. Well, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I mean,
it's tough. This is the first song.
We're gonna see.
I mean, listen, when this first came out, especially with George Bush in office, this was a powerful song. It made sense for the times. But there's
makes sense
something.
for the time now. It's actually, if you listen to the lyrics of that song today, it's as relevant today about Trump as it is about Bush.
Oh, and I totally agree with you.
Born on third, thinks he got a triple. But now, all that being said, as a song, you're not gonna play that on the radio. You're not gonna sing that at karaoke.
You're not gonna sing it live.
Yeah.
If they played this live tomorrow, the majority of people would. This would be almost like a last kiss. People are like, all right, I understand the significance of it, but I don't really want to hear it. I get it, but I don't want to hear it. So, we agree on something. All right. We're moving on to Binaural. This is another. I think so. So I would say this is the, like almost like Riot Act. This is another album that a lot of people that are not just the hardcore Pearl Jam fans, they tend to overlook. Binaural is a fantastic album with a lot of great songs.
Album, obviously, I named my winery after that album, right? So.
Yeah. So if you say Sleight of Hand, I think there's a problem. So why don't you tell me what your least favorite song off of Binaural is? Trey.
Mine was Evacuation.
Wow. Evacuation.
Are we 2 of 2?
No. We are not 2 of 2. Evacuation, I've seen this song 3 times, and all 3 times I've seen it, they had to restart it all 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, they just can't get it right.
It's a complex song. This is the Anthony. This is the album where it's starting here, going backwards. I was like, almost roll the dice. You know what I mean? Like, Grievance. That was the other one, but I don't mind that as much either. I mean, I don't mind this song at all. I just had to go through these, and I'm like, not easy.
Well, there's one song on this album that I just don't particularly love. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Do you have any ideas what song that would be?
Rival.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's kind of a. I think the guitar playing on here, the musicianship on this song is fantastic, but I feel like Eddie's singing is slightly lazy on this.
I don't think it's lazy. I think I like the way that song is laid out, and it has a super bluesy. It's so bluesy, and it's a crunchy song.
Yeah, just not for me. Now
That's
listen,
okay.
I've heard it live. I sat through it. I enjoyed it. But this was a tougher one for me. And as you said, as we got to the earlier albums, it definitely becomes a little bit harder to pick. But then you have to start utilizing like different theories about why you're picking the song, right? Like, why am I picking this song? I think it makes a little bit more sense when you start thinking it like that. So let's go to Yield. Out of any album, this was the easiest one for me. There is literally a song on this album, and I love this album. There's a song on here that I just fucking hate. And I'm wondering, as a Pearl Jam fan to a Pearl Jam fan, if we're on the same page with this. So, Trey, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell me what your least favorite song off this album is. I'm wondering if we're on the same page on this.
I had Push Me, Pull Me.
So, Trey, I'm going to play you the song I had on here. We are 2 for 2.
That song to me it didn't really have it, just like no cohesion to that thing.
No.
Yeah, it was a little messy song, but when you look at that album, top to bottom, man, that's fucking great.
If you remove this song off this album, it's a perfect album. It is a perfect album. It might be their best album of all time, honestly. If you look at all of the songs on this album.
Now, Anthony, folks, let's get this straight. Anthony is now saying that Yield is his favorite Pearl Jam album if they removed Push Me, Pull Me.
Time out. No, sir. No.
That's exactly
Hold on a second.
Play that back.
No,
play that shit back.
I am record scratch. Hold the record. Calm down. Let me explain myself. All right, on this. Just because it's a perfect album doesn't mean it's my favorite. There's albums out there that have maybe some not great songs on it, but the area that it fits in the story of the album makes it my favorite album. Yield is not my favorite Pearl Jam album of all time. It is. I love the album. I think it's fantastic. I think the musicianship on it. I think the story behind the songs. I feel like as I grow older, I feel like the album talks to me more, but it's not my favorite Pearl Jam album. So hold the record. Listen to what I'm saying here. It is not my favorite Pearl Jam album. And Mark Kirby says that song belongs on Gigaton. Jesus. Mark Kirby is literally, if you go online and follow him, his hatred toward Gigaton speaks volumes. I mean, he hates
I tell you what, everything I've heard about the new album coming out, I hope it's a shift from where they were going with Gigaton. How about that?
I'm not sure what you heard, and we haven't really discussed this. It's been a while since we've had a nice phone conversation between you and me, and maybe that needs to happen, but from what I've been told, I heard that this goes back to a lot more edgier rock and roll.
Yeah, no, I've seen some interviews already. It's like it's almost like very punk rock.
Yep, I've heard that there's two songs.
I think when I hear that, I immediately go like, okay, is it going to be like No Code?
That is what I'm expecting, and I've also heard from someone who interviewed Stone, and we had a nice little conversation, was that he was able to hear something, not much, just a something, and it sounded very Ramones-like.
Ooh, awesome.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Paul Wirt says, Yield is my favorite album of all time, and my favorite my favorite Pearl Jam of all time. There, I said it. And then Brad says, Gigaton was an attempted shift and just grinding the gears. Well, you know what happens when you grind the gears? Sometimes you get girls pregnant, and maybe you don't want that to happen. So sometimes you just got to wax those gears, keep it in neutral, keep it going. That's what I'm saying. All right, moving it along. Where the fuck are we? We're at No Code. This was a hard one.
No, it wasn't hard.
This was a hard one.
That's what she said.
Holly loves you even more now. That's her favorite thing.
Oh, God. Oh, all right. What is your least favorite song off of No Code? Are we going to be 3 for 3? That's the question I have for you.
If we're not on this, for me, this is the easiest one.
Okay.
I'm open.
Damn, 3 for 3. Look at us. We are rocking and rolling on the 3 for 3 barricades.
That was easy. And
it
was listen, it's a song at a concert. It's not a song I want to hear, but in the mix of that album, the same way they put that weird shit in the first couple of albums.
Yep.
It's fine. I love her.
Mark Kirby, we're gonna have to have words here. He said a song that I am shocked about. First of all, anytime I hear this song, Come On In, I'm Open. Let's be realistic. They're just talking about 7-Eleven. It's open all the fucking time. Come on in, I'm open. Get a fucking Slurpee. Get a slushie. Get a hot dog. Get yourself a 7-Eleven Slurpee. I'm open. Come on in. But dude, Mankind, Dude.
No, Mankind's a great song.
Mankind is fantastic. And you
Come
know
on.
what?
Mark, come on.
And then Mark Kirby goes to say, first says Mankind, and then he says, oh, I like I'm Open. If you like I'm Open, then you must be a fan of 7-Eleven, Sheetz, and Quick Trip. For all of you people that don't live in the Midwest and East Coast, those are gas stations always open.
I should know the answer to this already.
Go ahead.
But was this I'm trying to think of the first 2, 3. This was the first song that Stone sang on the album with Mankind, on a Pearl Jam album. I mean, like lead singer. Versus Vitalogy. No, I think it's it.
Oh,
it's the
you
first
know what?
Stone song.
Hold on. You are
first.
Correct on that one.
Which is fine. And by the way, I think Stone's got a good voice and unique, and yeah, it's just not a Pearl Jam song in that way. And by the way, I love seeing it live.
I do.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good. It's a fun.
Like Mankind is. It's always fun. It's a fun
thing. You know what? You
jump
listen.
Up there.
It is interesting to see other band members sing, right? But there's one song that is not going to be on any of these lists because it's on one of their B-sides. I can go. Never again. Don't ever play it for me. Jeff Ament, put the mic in front of your face. If you sing Sweet Lou again, I swear to God, I'm going to kick that fucking basketball out of the damn stadium. Sweet Lou is dog shit.
Lou, why don't you?
Hold on. We have Paul Wirt has sent a long message in, and I'm gonna sing it. I'm not singing. I'm gonna say it. So hold on. Let me get a voice for Paul here. Hold on a second. So it doesn't sound like me. Here we go. I'm gonna give him Small Robot. You ready for this?
Yeah. It has to be hard. I can't hear that.
No, that one's too. Hold on.
It has to be. There we go. That's better.
No, you don't like that one? It has to be. Oh, that's not. No, hold on.
It has to be. There we go. It has
to
be hard.
You can't do that.
Oh, shit. It has to be. This is... No?
It has to be.
I'm going to keep it with the monster then. It has to be hard being in Pearl Jam because you can't please everyone. And you've already done so much musically, statistically. So no matter what shifted direction you go in, you're gonna have fans who are like, why did they go in that direction? Or they're peaked with 10, and other things that undermine the true essence of whatever the band is trying to achieve. With the new music, just for the sake of naysaying their attempts to not repeat themselves and move forward and progressing as a band.
Paul, in no way, shape, or form are you wrong in that. You are 100%
agree. I couldn't agree more with Paul. It is true.
Yeah.
And me and Paul have talked about this.
It's true about any band. Yeah. It's true about any artist. It's true about any wine. However you go about it, you are not going to please 100% of the people 100% of the time. And when you're Pearl Jam after 33 years, you can do whatever the fuck you want if it pleases you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, no matter your art, if it pleases you, okay, that really is the most important thing when it comes down to it. So, as we're sitting here dissecting these albums, and
and this is all for fun. This is all for fun.
I hate being critical of art. That's what it comes down to.
Well,
right.
Here's the thing.
And so, but we had to do it, and it was a test in, yeah.
Mark Kirby is 100% right. Progress, but just don't suck. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Listen,
I've never thought that Pearl Jam sucks, so
no.
I mean,
no.
Hopefully he doesn't think Gigaton sucks. I don't think it sucks at all. I think
Mark Kirby thinks Gigaton sucks. Listen, I almost want to have Mark Kirby on because listen, our 3-year anniversary. We're gonna talk about in a little bit. Our show for 3-year anniversary. We're gonna have. I want to invite people that have been consistently on the show. Have them come on. Maybe we can get a new big guest. Who knows? But I do want to have. I think we should have Mark on, and I just want to have. I want to give him the room for 3 minutes to talk about why his belief Gigaton sucks, and I just give it to him. And let's see if maybe he changes his mind and we say, hey, Gigaton sucks. Or maybe we can shift his mind and say, hey, why you should give Gigaton another listen. But until that time, let's shift our focus, not our focus. Oh my God. Mark Kirby said Gigaton is simply the worst album ever made. You must have never heard Snow's Informer album because that was one of the worst albums. Oh, I saw Snow at the Smith Haven Mall.
Did you just say you saw him? You saw that show?
Yes, I saw Snow.
Come on.
It was on Smith Haven Mall in New York in early 90s, and it was interesting. And just for you people to visualize, this guy is a white Canadian.
Lots of hands in the air.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Anyway, all right, we're at the top 3 original albums of Pearl Jam. Vitalogy, Versus, and 10. And this was interesting. So I had to look at this differently because these albums definitely are sentimental to me. Like I think maybe it's like age like wine. The older they are, the more I hold a truer value and to them, and I think a lot back to my youth with them. And it's because I'm much younger than you too, Trey. So like I was a child when these albums came out. You were a man. So just want to put that out there for everybody. So I might not look nearly as good as Trey, but I am younger. Vitalogy. This was tough. I had to go back to Vitalogy a couple times, and this was tougher than the other two.
Now, look, are you telling me that what song? That's the problem with these albums. You would like say you said some songs you can't use, and
correct.
Okay, so on this album, what songs can we not talk about?
Okay, well I'm glad you said that. Let's go to Vitalogy and look at the track listing for Vitalogy, shall we?
I'll give it to you right now. Last Exit, Spin the Black Circle, Not For You.
No, hold on. Wait, why are you going through this real quick? Last Exit. Fucking amazing song. For when they come out and play Last Exit, amazing song. Yes or no?
All of them. No,
okay.
I just named 5 songs in a row that were great. Nothing Man, Whipping.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Pride 2. Pride 2 is not a song.
Well, that was my song. All right. Obviously, Corduroy. Obviously, one of the greatest songs ever made.
Yep.
Bugs was my number 2 in this. Are you going to tell me I couldn't use Bugs?
You could use Bugs if you want to, but that was not my choice.
Then, because I had Pride 2. It's going to be Bugs, but as a song, and it's ridiculous. It's a fucking great song. It's awesome.
It is a great song. So I got to see it live.
Better Man, great. I had Davanita. That's a beautiful song. I fucking love that song.
So, with Bugs, I have an emotional attachment to it because I was chasing that song, and I got to see it in Philadelphia on Halloween, and the emotion it was so much fun to see it. It was kind of one of those rarities. They did play it, I guess, 2 more times since then, but it was, it was a good song. I might get shit. I might get shit for this. I really would. I had to really think about this, but there's a song on the album that just doesn't do anything for me. And I've seen it live, and I enjoy it live, and I kind of like the song, but for me, it's real simple. And it's just I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me.
Nope. Well, you're wrong.
Yeah, no.
Anthony.
I'm not wrong. Nope.
Anthony,
Nope.
you're so
Nope.
okay.
Nope.
To our listeners out there, if you think Satan's Bed does not belong on this album,
No. Time out.
please.
Hold on.
Oh!
Hold. No.
You
Don't
said-
you
you
dare.
said- you said-
Don't you You keep putting words in my mouth. Stop putting words in my mouth. I never once said it doesn't belong on this. I also said before we even picked the songs, I said this was one of the hardest ones to choose from. I don't hate Satan's Bed, but when it comes to the actual songs on the album, Satan's Bed to me is just not as good as the other ones. And then Brad says Tremor Christ isn't my favorite. And then Mark Kirby says, what is wrong with you, Anthony? I don't know, but I'm also not the person
Kirby.
who hates Gigaton as much as you. So
Thank you, Mark. Tremor Christ.
I
will tell you. I mean, the Vitalogy album. It was not an easy album to get into as a Pearl Jam fan because you had 10 and verses in front of it.
Of
And
course.
This was a
Major shift.
fairly dramatic shift
Correct.
in where the band was. And I feel like Tremor Christ is a perfect example of that. This super crunchy sort of it was just a very, very different song. But I fucking love that song. So
And here's the thing too. If I will say this, and this is a very big statement, and I want you to think about this before you get into this. If not for Vitalogy, I don't think Pearl Jam has as much success going forward. If Pearl Jam put out another album just like 10 and just like Versus and continue to do that and not make the adjustments in the songs and make some drastic changes and kind of wanted to experiment a little bit on albums going forward, I don't know if they would have been as successful as they are right now. I think Vitalogy was the first time they started taking risks and started changing the way they played songs and the way they actually felt comfortable into doing things they wanted to do and not so much feed off the idea of giving something that the fans wanted. And Vitalogy was a great example of that. And I remember getting Vitalogy on CD and being like, what is this? And the first couple times listening to it, you're like, this is not what I was expecting. And the more you listen to it, the more it built onto, and the more you felt like it was this security blanket for you almost in the time when this came out. Because there are some songs on there that as you listen to them more and more, it really is a fantastic album for when it came out, and it really catapulted Pearl Jam into a new category, and it really gave me the ability to do things differently as a band.
They were a band that did things on their own terms. With this album, it was like on their own terms. So, Paul and Anthony, I agree with both of you guys. I don't think had they just sort of continued on and like, let's make another album, make another album like Versus or 10. That band just would not have lasted. It's not necessarily that the fans would not have followed. It's that the band would not have existed. And the fact that they were able to recognize that as all of it was happening in real time, right? And all the pressures and all the attention was thrust upon that band, and they just sort of insulated themselves. And they were smart to do that. It's probably, I'm sure Stone and Jeff, and especially after losing Andy with Mother Love Bone, and then all of a sudden they finally made it, like 2 albums. Listen, this is absolutely true. If they made those 2 albums and that was all they ever did, these guys could still, probably live off of what they made. But with all that attention, and they still wanted to create art and music in the way they wanted to do it, the way they insulated themselves was everything for them. And it was the reason they were able to, we're 33 years into it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
32
and a half years, whatever it is. Yeah.
Think about a lot of the bands from the 90s that had successful earlier albums that tried to continue to sound exactly like their first two albums, that they were successful and they are successful now, but they're not at the power level of Pearl Jam. I'm going to give you an example. Candlebox's first two albums are fantastic. They're amazing. And I love Candlebox. I think Kevin's been on the show before. I've had communication with him constantly. He's done a lot. I think Kevin's amazing. And this is his final tour coming up. But I think that they waited too long to try to find a unique sound that catapulted them into the adult album that people can grow with. It was after their first two albums, if you listen to a lot of the albums afterwards, they're very similar. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to grow with your core audience and you really want to start growing into different categories where people can have conversations like we're having about Pearl Jam right now, then you need to start thinking about how you can change and adjust to fit you as an artist. And as we grow older, we start seeing things differently. I guarantee you that the songs that Pearl Jam wrote when they first came out mean a lot different things now than they did when they first came out. And Eddie's talked about that in Pearl Jam 20. He's talked about it on stage before singing a song. And I think that's where Pearl Jam was successful early on in their career, by adjusting at Vitalogy, a critical album in their career. Because what happened after Vitalogy? They started being more in the spotlight. They started fighting for fans. They started making cases for fans. They started being a man's band. Like, hey, I'm going to stand up for you. I don't agree with what people are doing with ticket prices. I don't agree what's going on in the government. I don't agree with things. And they started making statements. A lot of bands just didn't do that. They just wanted to play music. Vitalogy was a breaking point for Pearl Jam. Not saying that they wouldn't have been successful, but a breaking point in the fact that they decided to change a little bit and do something different, and they were super fucking successful at it.
Yeah, I think they were lucky that their fan base was able to make that shift with them, and because this album was so different from the first two for sure. But the fact that their fan base was able to just absorb that and like, this is awesome. This is one of my favorite albums for sure. So hard to argue with that.
All right. Well, two quick statements coming out from the group as we have a lot of conversations growing today from both Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're tuning in late, you can listen to the entire show tomorrow on our podcast version of it, wherever you listen to podcasts in the magical world of podcast land. Brad says Nirvana's most recent album was really good. Maybe too soon. I don't know. For that, we'll give you this. All right. And then Paul says, with his very educational background and he knows how to speak. They had to pull back from the spotlight. Kurt's death weighed heavily on Eddie, and they felt all the pressure. Mike shrugs. Drug use was getting worse. They made the new album, fired the drummer, fought against Ticketmaster Bear, toured with Neil Young, Eddie toured with Mike Mott. They started to find the true path forward for the band without trying to please all the outside forces like Epic Records, executives, fans, rock radio, MTV, more magazines, etc. They had to take the long road, so to speak, in order to stay sane and save their integrity as a unit. I agree. Now, Enough of Vitalogy. We're going to Versus. Another tough album to pick from, because this is a classic.
Yeah.
This is a classic. And I just want to put it out there. I thought about this the other day and it scared the shit out of me. Versus, to me, when Versus came out, I think it's exactly the same distance now as Versus coming out when Versus came out to today as when Versus came out when it first came out to when Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon came out. Which is
1972, 73? What was that?
Something like that. So the distance between them is almost fucking identical, which is scary in its own sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say that before we dive into this album. When I was in high school and listening to the radio with my mom or my dad in the car in 1986, 87, 88, whatever. It's like you go back to what they were listening to. That's just barely 20 years old.
Crazy, right?
Right? You're like, we're listening to 96 Rock or Z93 in Atlanta, and I'm listening to, the Beatles and the Stones and, whatever. But like, Beach Boys, these songs weren't that old, but they sounded old when you were 16. You know what I mean?
Crazy,
And
right?
so, yeah. So when you fast forward, you're like, yeah, it's just weird. Some of that's compressed because that was really the birth of modern rock and roll. And so when you think about 1962 to 1986, and you're like, wow, it's a short amount of time well, that's when everything happened. I mean, fine, I'll give you Elvis and whatever, but let's just start with the Beatles in 61, 62 to the mid 80s. It's only 20, 25 years of history of real rock and roll. And now you fast forward from high school to today. For me, that's a long time. Think of all the music in between that, right? So,
I want to blow your mind for a minute when you get a chance.
All right, go ahead.
So we're talking about an album that basically came out 33 years ago, right? So when this album came out 33 years ago before then, so we're talking about an album 33 years ago. Think of all the music between 33 years ago and now, right? We can probably list, if we were given the opportunity to list albums and all that stuff, right? 33 years ago from when this album came out was 1958. Okay, so which is fucking kind of hard to like fathom, right? In 1958, the top 10 songs of 1958, and you tell me if they're as outstanding as what we're talking about now. Okay, number 1 was Ricky Nelson's Poor Little Fool. Never heard of it. Then there was Perez Prado, Patricia. Never heard of it. Bobby Darin, Splash Splash. I was taking a blush. We know that one. Elvis Presley, Hard-Headed Woman. We know that one. Kalen Twins, When. Never heard of it. Dwayne Eddy, Rebel Rouser. Never heard of it. The Coasters, Yakety Yak. Oh, we've heard that one. Don't Come Back. Jack Scout, My True Love. Never heard of him. The Johnny Otis Show, Willie and the Hand Jive. Never heard of him. And then Peggy Lee.
Oh, you've heard of that. The Hand Jive, that was in Greece. That was in Greece, too.
Oh, was it? I don't know. Does nothing. But Peggy Lee, Fever. Now, I'm going to ask you a quick question, Trey. Out of the 10 songs I just told you, the top 10 songs in 1958, do any of those songs hold a candle to the wind of one of the popular songs that came off of Versus?
You can't. That's unfair.
No. I'm asking a question. It does. We're not. Listen. We're not being. There's no gun to our head.
It's an unfair question because you're saying like what they did in 1958 with the technology they had and blah blah, versus what they did in when Versus get. It's an unfair question, and it goes back to the whole thing. Like I hate rating art. Okay, Fever was a fucking great song, by the way. Fever, come on.
I will take.
It's a great burlesque song too.
I will take Blood over any of those 10 songs we just talked about. I'm just going to put it out there for you.
Fine. But what I'm telling you is that it's unfair to compare when it's the birth of an art, right?
I understand
and
that.
All that. Listen, you want to go read a great book? Go read How Music Was Made by David Byrne.
I will put that on my list. I'm actually reading.
100%. If you're a reader, How Music Is Made by David Byrne. It tells you how their instruments or even concert halls were made based on the instrumentation at that time, right? Like what instruments were used. Oh, well, it was nothing but strings, or it was, there was no electric music back then. So you can't compare greatness of music based on the tools they had at the time. And so that's why you're like, people get upset when you like Radiohead Kid A. How fucking awesome was that album? And people are like, that's ridiculous. But that album is incredible, but you could not have made that album in 1970. You know what I mean? So it's unfair to compare.
Well, now my question to you is this. In 33 years, it's going to be 2056. Okay? So 33 years from now, and we're just keep using the number 33 because that's how long Pearl Jam's been around. We're just adding and subtracting, right?
Yep.
Are more people, And in 2056, right? So Pearl Jam will be around 66 years. I doubt they'll be touring anymore. So breaking the news, okay?
What?
The odds are very fucking slim.
Very upset with you now, Anthony.
I'm so sorry to break the fucking news, dude. The odds are slim, and the way that Eddie partied and the way he continues to smoke and drink, I just can't imagine. But maybe I'll be wrong. 2056, are people going to be talking about any of the songs? Are you going to be talking about from 1958, When by the Kalin Twins, or are they going to be talking more about Pearl Jam? I'm just asking a question. It's not, no one's holding you against this. This isn't going to be in textbooks. We're just talking and having a conversation. What has more musical significance, the 90s or the 1950s? In 33 years from now.
I mean, it's a question you really can't answer, because you're asking a question that is, you're just
Okay.
you're rating art. That's all you're doing.
All right. Well, I apologize. If I offended you, I apologize.
You didn't offend me. I'm just saying that you can take a straw poll and put a questionnaire out there to 1,000 random people and say, have you heard of Pearl Jam, or have you heard of Peggy Lee? I don't know. I'm going to assume they're going to say Pearl Jam in 30 years. But if you said Pearl Jam and Elvis Presley, I'm going to tell you Elvis Presley's going to win that straw poll. You know what I mean? So
you know what?
It doesn't mean that
you are 100% correct. I do know Peggy Lee.
I'm just saying
Good song.
that it's, when you pick a time period of music and try to distill it down to a statistic, it takes away from what's important about what we're talking about. What we're talking about is we have emotional connection to Pearl Jam.
Sure.
And not everyone does. And that is okay.
So I want to rewind a little bit about something, because Brad said something and you said something that I think I potentially can make a statement, and then we're going to move on. Brad said there are young people today who don't know who Pearl Jam is, and that might be true. Like maybe there's people who don't know who Elvis is. But I brought my daughter to School of Rock yesterday, where she plays. She's in her band, okay? And there was a list. They had tallied all 350 kids that go to that school of their favorite artist of all time. And they had top three, second most votes, top three, and then like one off, like if someone was voted on. Yeah. Their top three.
Taylor Swift in the top three.
No. Taylor Swift was not in the top three. Taylor Swift was she was in like this section where it was like 1 or 2 votes for her. The top three was AC/DC, 9 Inch Nails, and Nirvana was the top three. The secondary list was Guns N' Roses, Pearl Jam, and Metallica. And
what? How old are these kids?
Anywhere ranged from 7 to 18, I believe.
This is your School of Rock thing.
Correct. This is where Charlotte does School of Rock.
Unfair.
No,
these
time out.
Kids,
that's where
these,
kids. Hold
no,
on.
it's unfair.
That's where kids love music. That's where I love music.
These kids, you're distilled. You distilled it down to kids who are really into music. Let's go popular culture. Go to your kid's school and give that out. Give that little handout. I'm telling you, it's gonna be Taylor Swift.
Oh, sure.
I'm not saying that those other bands are gonna fall in there.
Totally agree with you on that one. I 100% agree with you. But in 2058, I think it was what the number was, or 2053, or whatever the fuck we're talking about now, as we continue to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The kids that love music and they talk about things, I guarantee you, if I gave that 10 songs from 1958, 33 years from when Pearl Jam first came out, and comparison of what today is and when Pearl Jam came out and all that stuff, and how those kids are going to know Pearl Jam. In 2058, I personally feel, and once again, I could be wrong, that if you gave the top 10 singles or songs from 1993 or 1992 and 1958, most people, I would say 95% of people, are going to fall in line with the 90s than they are the 50s. It just shows you how times have changed. And I think the 90s were I think the 90s were more relevant music.
I want you to shift forward 5 years from 1958.
The 60s were a total different time. 60s are a total
what do you
different
mean?
time.
So you're literally 5 years. That was it. So let's move from 1990 to 1995. If you want to do that,
huge difference in music too. It's also saying.
I'm just saying.
Come on. It's like
So
saying.
now
I would
all of a
say
sudden
a
you've got
bigger
the
shift
Beatles.
isn't. Okay. Yep.
And so you want to go play like 10 songs from the first 3 Beatles albums for people versus whatever was popular in 1995. I still think people are going to be like, that's the Beatles. I mean.
So 1962, the top 10 songs, real quick, were. Oh. We can't go by 62 because 1962 had no Beatles. The top 10 songs, none of them were Beatles. Interesting. Maybe it was 67. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going down a fucking serious rabbit hole. But I will say this.
We have 2 albums left.
Yeah, I know we have 2 albums. But I will say this. I would say, like, it talks about the shift in time in music and how things change. If you look at 1995, what came out in 1995, and what came out in 2000, that shows you a serious shift in change in music.
Guess what came out in 2000?
What?
Kid A.
Kid A was fantastic. One album.
One album. That's like that's my top 5. That's the top 5 album.
Brad's texting you and me right now. I don't know what's going on.
All right, let's go. Let's get to the last 2 albums.
Hold on a second. He just sent me the top 10 songs from I don't know what time this is, but the top 10 songs of some year. I think it must have been early 90s. Was number 1.
Oh, that's early 90s. Oh, that's like 1992 right there.
Is that 92?
Oh, dude. By the way, Snow's on there.
This is all fucking round robin right now. I can't do that. All right. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Listen, for real, though. Whitney Houston, UB40, Janet Jackson, Silk, Mariah Carey. We're talking like when you're looking at these lists of what's popular, grunge in 1992, as much as we want to think it was popular with a very small segment of the population. Most of radio was still dominated by what Brad just sent us. You know what I mean?
I just will put this out there before we move on to Pearl Jam.
Fucking UB40. Great song.
And we're drinking red wine. Just think about it. We're constantly.
Hey, last two albums, Anthony.
All right, it was 93 by the way. All right, cool. Go ahead. With your Versus song, what did you pick off Versus?
I only because I had to pick a song. I picked Rats. I had no reason to go see that song live at a Pearl Jam show.
Trey.
I know they're the same thing.
How the fuck you know this shit? It is 100% the same one. I had Rats as well.
Easy.
And right. Tony Bound says the same thing. JJB says she's judging us, and this is triggering. What the flaming fuck? JJB is on, and she says fuck you. All right, this is the way to go for a show.
By the way, those are all aimed at you. Those aren't aimed at me. I know it.
She never said Anthony. She never once said Anthony. She just said "fuck you."
Jennifer, please chime in.
No. We don't need. Who
you're talking to here?
I don't know. Let's just keep on moving along.
All right. Listen,
now,
there's no argument about that song on this album. Another top to bottom. Go, Animal, Daughter, Glorified G, Dissident, White Male American, Blood, Rearview Mirror, Rats, Elderly Woman, Leash, Indifference. Come on. That's a great album, top to bottom.
I agree.
And Rats is the only weak link, and it's barely a weak link. That bass line in that is so funky. And it sort of set the stage for Pearl Jam introducing weird songs into their albums.
Yeah.
And so, because I don't think the first album had a weird, it did a weird intro but it didn't really have a weird song. Rats was like, what is this? So
the sober version of these topics should be by me. I think Trey's fine. I'm half a bottle in. I haven't really eaten a lot today, so I'm pretty sure that the true statement towards me.
I'm not either. That's fine.
But here's the thing. We're going on 10, okay? We have a lot of people tuning in right now. If you're tuning in, I want to know, okay, gun to your head, your least favorite song off of 10, which in theory, I think when you categorize the 90s, easily, if not the greatest album come out of the 90s, a top 5 greatest album come out of the 90s. In my opinion, we could have an argument about that. If you really want to get into it, me and Brian Meth did a whole show on top albums that came out of the 90s last month, and you can go for that. We're already getting some answers coming in right now, and it is and nobody is agreeing on the same one. This is interesting. And one of them says, "Don't need a gun to my head." He already picked a song. Holy shit! All right, Mr. Trey Busch.
Will I speak again first? I will.
Oh yeah, I am not doing this first.
Fine. Again, by no means would I be disappointed to see the song live.
Okay.
But I had to go top to bottom.
Uh-huh.
And I chose Garden.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
This is a shocker. This is potentially the most beautiful one of the most beautiful songs on the album. This is one of the most beautiful buildups. Let's just listen to this for a second. I want to try to change your mind, Trey. Just listen to this for a second.
It was between that and Deep.
Okay, so I just want to let you know, coming in right now, Jay Henley says Deep.
Jay hates me. Deep. Listen, Jay, it was very close.
Tony Bounds says
Tony Bounds.
Even flow.
Tony Bounds, you know for a fact that the reason you fell in love with Pearl Jam
was
because fucking Even Flow. You say it was a lie, but you know it was Even Flow that got you into it.
JJB, come on.
I don't believe you.
All right, Deep.
All right, you know what? I changed my answer. I changed my answer.
I fucking knew you. I knew this was gonna happen because there's no
changed my
way
answer.
nobody's fucking picking Garden. Nobody's picking fucking Garden. JJB says Deep, no question. Mark Kirby says Black, Black, Black. Don't even need a gun to my head, which is shocking to me. And as there's
Kirby.
Look, and then Mark Kirby says
Dude.
Garden. What the fuck, Trey?
Sorry. Listen, you just said black, so fuck you.
Brad Lang says Black. What is going on?
Brad, I don't even know you. That's a bunch of bullshit. I told you. This is gonna end up.
Fucking believe
Listen,
you said Garden.
Anthony.
Hold on. Just one more second.
We should have a fist fight. We should have a fist fight.
I cannot believe you said Garden. I thought we were
black. It's deep. It's deep.
Okay.
Deep.
Okay. Paul. Yeah. Oh, this is a shocker. This is one. If someone said, "I'm shocked by this shit," Oceans. How are we picking Ocean? I wish it was longer.
Oh, he says wish it was longer.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'll give you that.
That's a fair assessment. I wish it was longer too. It'd be a great song.
I mean,
add another minute to that.
I mean, they all say they wish it was longer.
That's what she said.
Heyo.
So, Jesus Christ. I am going to give you my song. Nobody said it yet, which is a shocker to me.
Well, if no one said it yet, then you're in big trouble.
Possibly. I don't know.
You're going to say alive. You're going to say alive.
No,
right?
No fucking way. I would never say alive. This album was the hardest to choose from because top to bottom, I believe this album is pretty much perfect. It really, I mean, for a freshman album to come out from a band that comes from different backgrounds, that comes from tragedy in multiple different aspects of the way that you look at it, from different aspects, things from losing people to father issues to there's so many ways to look at this. This album is perfect in its own sense.
Yeah.
With that being said, I had to look at something like, is there a song that I've heard so many times and I'm like,
Doesn't count. Nope. Because I heard so many times.
No.
Or I'm so tired of it. Doesn't count.
All right.
If you say Jeremy, I'm gonna punch you in the face too.
Well, get ready to fucking start swinging because here's my choice. And my choice was an easy one when I've heard this.
Nope. You're wrong.
You can't. How can I forget? I don't hate the song, but here's the way I looked at this album. If I'm gonna go see a Pearl Jam show tonight, and I'm gonna hear everything on 10 except one song, what one song do I not want to hear? I love Even Flow because Mike plays the solo differently. I know some people, Even Flow has been played too many times. Whatever. I've heard Jeremy a lot, and I think. After hearing it 12 times,
I feel like you have to approach this like this is my first time listening to this album. What song do I hate on this album?
You can't hate a song on this album, but listen.
I agree with you.
JJB just quit Touring Fan Live. She says, "Oh my God, I'm going to leave Touring Fan Live with this shit." And then Mark Kirby says, "Turning your Pearl Jam card." Time the fuck. Hold the fuck on. Where's all my sound effects for this shit? Hold on. I can have an opinion. Jeremy is
emailing. By the way, I'm going to email Tim Bierman, and I'm going to have Anthony's Tim Club card number lowered.
Listen. You can't have it any lower than it is now. Listen to me. Why don't you have Tim
come
on?
What year did you join the 10 Club?
Oh God, I let it lapse all the time. I let it lapse way.
Anthony.
Yeah. Oh,
no.
Dude, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give you a little trip, okay? What is the benefit of being in the 10 Club, right? To get better seats, right? I'm going to give you a little dose of reality when it comes to Anthony and Pearl Jam. I literally have tickets to every show coming up from people. I don't even know what shows I'm going to, and all of them are good seats. I know people. I work things out. I trade things. I don't ever necessarily buy shows. I just know enough people that I work things out. People are very friendly. The community is great. Brad's taught me a bunch of things. Brad's fantastic. You wait to the day of the show to drop sometimes. Everyone knows that. You don't necessarily... The benefits of being in the 10 Club are very minimal to what they used to be. If you can prove me wrong, I'd be willing to listen. But honestly, I don't know what the benefit is of my $40 to $50 to $60 as it continues to rise, that money yearly to go to the 10 Club right when it needs to. I just don't see it. If this was
you dropping out of the 10 Club?
No. I'm still in 10 Club. I just 99% of the time, I don't check my email. Ask Brad. When Brad was on my phone, I think we were in Oklahoma City. Brad's like, "Hey, do you mind if I use your phone real quick?" I'm like, "Yeah." I don't know what it was. I gave my phone, and I have on my VIP email list right here. If you look at that, I don't know if you can see that. It's just for Pearl Jam emails, right? And those Pearl Jam emails come through, and one of them, and when he looked at it one time, it said, I think it said something like, "Your account has been like, I don't know, like I guess like your account has been discontinued or some shit." And Brad's like, "Did you just drop out of 10 Club?" I'm like, "Oh, I must have forgot that email. I'll have to re-sign up." My number was so low. The first time I joined 10 Club was probably in 2005 when Paul convinced me to join 10 Club. And then I let it lapse, and then I kept letting it lapse, and I don't even, it doesn't matter to me. The number thing to me.
After 2005, it does not matter, absolutely.
No.
But from like 91 to 95, it did matter a lot.
Wait, hold it. How can Anthony talk nonsense and picking Jeremy, and then in the next one make sense in talking about the 10 Club? I don't know. And then Brad says Anthony whoring himself out for tickets. Yeah. You listen. I don't say pretendly whoring myself out, but I've made some fantastic friends, and they
some questionable decisions as well.
Wait, oh hell no! Fuck yourself. What JJB? What did I do? I think JJB's mad at me. I have to FaceTime her after this. In the grand scheme of things, maybe I'm a likable person. I guess. What was that? I don't know. Maybe people like me.
I agree. But the fact that you picked Jeremy, one of maybe the greatest songs of the 90s, just because you've heard it too many times.
I had to come up with some way of picking a fucking song. Okay? This was the hardest one. Out of all the albums, 10 was easily the hardest one.
That's the one you picked, though?
100%.
That's the song you picked?
If you're going through the album 10...
I'm gonna let's do it again. Because I'm going to fucking play that bass line every time. Every time.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Once...
Play a live version.
Fuck your fucking millennial bullshit. Oh my God. JJB, what is going on with JJB right now? I'm not a. How am I a millennial? I don't even know what the fuck.
Now, Anthony realized like I need to change my phone number and my email address.
my text messaging right now is but here, hold on a second. I picked Jeremy, right? Okay, which
it's a terrible decision. But go ahead.
No, the reason I picked it was I heard it a bunch of times. I don't necessarily need to hear it anymore. I've heard it a lot. That was my reasoning behind it, and the reason it was between that and Even Flow. Even Flow I like differently because Mike plays a different guitar solo every time. It's almost like a total different version of a song every time. Jeremy's played the same way every time. It's the same thing. It's fantastic, but it's the same thing. You picked fucking Garden, which is probably one of the most...
I went to Deep. I changed it to Deep quickly.
But your original answer was Garden.
I love Garden. I love that song.
Oh, my God. Oh, I literally have 30 missed text messages on my phone right now from people berating me. You know what?
You're gonna be first of all, you'll be blocked by half of them.
Yeah, and then Anthony spoke online today. I did. I spoke online today, and I am standing firm with it. JJB says this. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I have this corrected. This. You never had to write a check to 10 Club for $5 in 1982 and didn't get a checking account because of Pearl Jam. Now it's not good enough. And then she says millennial. And then Brad Lang says, Anthony's new email, jeremyhater@gmail.com. Oh, my Jesus Christ. You know what?
Look,
fuck it.
Listen, if you've never mailed actual cash, not checks, if you've mailed actual cash in the mail to join a fan club, you know, right there.
I did it recently. There was a new band out that I like, and I send them money. I send them $20 in an envelope. It's all good.
I love cash.com.
Nope, it was Illiterate Light. Joined them. Good stuff. Well, you're out. I'm also leaving you a Garden. First choice stays on the list. You cannot go to Deep.
Change that. Deep.
Nope.
It's Deep.
Nope, it is Garden. You said it first. You can't take it back.
I am taking it back.
You know what? I'm going to go on this. The first person to say yay or nay on Trey allowing to go back on Deep, I'll allow it or disallow it. The first person, I'm waiting for it. JJB says dick. I'm not sure if that counts. So we're going to move on to the next person. The first person says if they allow him to trade it from Garden to Deep, and we're waiting on the answer. But until that time, as we roll down the end of the show, we're gonna post a playlist of these songs of our top. I will be on the next podcast, whatever the fuck it is. And we also have ready for this. Mark Kirby, nay. Paul Wirt, nay. Sorry, you have two nays. Yep. So Garden it is.
Those are forged. I want to see the actual text.
You know what? I will fucking text you this shit then, because the Tony Bound said yes, but no. So, it is what it is. Brad Lang said yay, but too late. You guys are too fucking late to the party.
Fine. Listen, I was wrong. I admit it. Can you admit you were wrong on Jeremy?
No.
All right. Well, there we go, folks. Now we know where we stand.
On a perfect album.
Hey, listen.
On a perfect album, that's my least favorite song. And
Anthony is trying to throw an insurrection against the 10 album using Jeremy. And so I'm just saying.
I am
insurrection.
I'm not. And for that, I give you this.
Mom, this is so boring. Why'd you take me here? Can we go home?
That's right. We are gonna move on. Now let's go to our favorite part of this show for everyone listening and tuning in an hour and 54 minutes of a show that got this. JJB makes a good point. Jeremy makes sense, but he was 5 years old when the situation happened. I quite possibly 5. So yeah, it doesn't touch me as it might have touched you guys. So, and it mattered to us. But yeah. I understand it. I understand what the song means. All I said was the reason I picked this song is if tomorrow we had to take one song off the list of all the songs that are going to play off for 10, just one. And I've heard Jeremy a lot, and I've enjoyed it. I'd rather hear the other songs over Jeremy. I don't hate Jeremy. I enjoy Jeremy. As a matter of fact, I sang Jeremy once on stage. Actually, you know what? I have the video of it. I wonder if I can pull the video.
Oh man, let's see that.
I
for
do have the video.
sure.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find this video. How do you find?
You know,
There's places.
while you're looking for this, I'm going to give you a story about the Chicago Wrigley, the Wrigley show.
Okay.
Jeff Whitman and Tim Bierman and I went out the night before the Wrigley show.
Okay.
And we went to a bar called Mother's. And it's right across from Wrigley. And they had a karaoke night. And apparently Whitman has a version of Me Doing Black that he's holding for ransom at some point. But the interesting story about that was all three of us, we woke up the next morning. This is the day of the Pearl Jam show. And we feel like we're literally trying to remember the night before. We have no recollection. We were like roofied that night at Mother's. So Whitman, Bierman, and I woke up the next day, and we're all texting each other like, what happened? Where I came up with my ID or I left my credit card or something at the bar, but it was like, what bar were we at? And yeah, so that was the night before the Wrigley Field show.
I'm trying to find this video. I sang Jeremy with the band Blackout years ago, and it was good. It was
How'd you do?
I think I did a good job. I mean,
Do you?
I believe I did a halfway decent job. It's just a matter of me finding this fucking video, which might take a while because I have a lot of videos on this phone. But I will, as soon as I find it, I will post it, and then you guys can. Not a bad song. Anyway, will you be in Indiana? And okay, so I will say this: I am waiting, just because I want to wrap the show up before we get to 2 hours, which is in 3 minutes. For my personal touring of September, it comes down to a few things. My son is on a very profound soccer team, and he is going to be traveling a lot to Colorado, Houston, to Dallas, to Illinois, to Colorado, to Utah, to California, to a couple places in September, and I'm trying to figure out where I fit in this. So I want to be able to go to his games. And my daughter has her School of Rock show in September, and she's playing drums to Black by Pearl Jam, which is important to me. So I am going to be sitting down and discussing what shows I'm going to and what shows I'm not to very soon. But until that time, I'm not exactly sure. Chicago seems pretty damn determined, and Dallas does too. But I have tickets to Austin. I don't know. Who knows? I might go to one. I might go to all of them. I have no idea. But a lot of it happens to...
Anthony, we hope to see you in Chicago. And it's sort of the same thing. It's a little bit of our schedules. I mean, with Harvest, with the winery, and school, and all the other stuff. Yeah. So.
Well, Trey, you have officially 10 seconds to say all your goodbyes. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready, buddy.
I'm giving you your screen's all yours. Go ahead, say your goodbyes. Go.
Hey, we're coming up on 3 years, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to the two of us talk about a bunch of random bullshit about Pearl Jam. So thank you very much.
I cannot wait to celebrate 3 years next month. I hope it's going to be special. Until that time, I'm Anthony. That's Trey. Trey's much better than I am, and that's how it goes. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Vinyl. Until next time, I don't know. Go from there.